Hello everybody and God bless. So I've decided to put a generic background because this is a very sober video and I don't want anyone to get distracted, and I just want you guys to just listen. So I'm just going to talk about my testimony, and hopefully that will explain why you need to teach your children why they should not have sex outside of marriage. Don't just tell them they shouldn't, but explain to them why their body needs to be protected and theirs. I'm gonna go back to before I was even in preschool. I vaguely remember being told that, a man and a female should wait until they were married to have sex, and I knew that sex outside of marriage was against God. And I've talked about this a little bit in my testimony, how I knew of God, I just didn't know he was really real. So I was told we should not have sex before marriage, but I didn't know really why and why it was important. So before I was even in preschool, it was the first time that I was convinced to do sexual acts with my peers. And when I joined preschool is when I tried to do it to other people, because like I said, I didn't know that our bodies were something we should keep to ourselves. I think I heard of no squares and I heard of where they were. I just didn't understand why and why I shouldn't allow people to touch it. I just knew that what I was doing was something I shouldn't show other adults. And I think it was God's way of protecting me, but I didn't know why. I just felt like deep down inside, I shouldn't tell my mom. I shouldn't tell my teachers. I should just keep it to myself. So I guess telling people I should tell was definitely of the devil, but just doing it with older people that were predators, I think that was God's way of protecting me. So as I got older, I would do different things with people, and I don't remember their names or what they looked like or anything like that. I just knew that, they told me to do something. I just did it. Because like I said, I didn't know the importance of my body. So when I was in 9th grade, I remember somebody asked me if I was a virgin or not. And I genuinely could not answer that question. I knew what it meant, but I couldn't remember if I allowed someone to actually go all the way with me or not. And it frustrated me because I didn't know. And I think that was a way of God's protecting me, because I remember growing up telling people that I had a superpower. I couldn't remember anything negative in my life. Growing up, it was hard for me to remember someone yelling at me and what they said, or somebody hurting my feelings. I knew it happened, I just didn't know what happened. So all of my sexual encounters before that, I literally could not remember. So I remember being asked if I was a virgin or not, and I was just I don't know. And they were well, how do you not know? And I was well, a lot of things happened to me as a kid. I just don't know if I am or not. And it frustrated me because I wanted to be sure. So when I was in 11th grade was the first time that I remember choosing to, I guess, in a sense, lose my virginity. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is because I genuinely to this day still do not know if that was the first time that I actually went all the way with someone or not. But to make myself feel better, I like to just say that I lost my virginity in 11th grade. And I remember literally just dating this person just so I could be able to tell people, yeah, I'm not a virgin, be 100% sure about it. So then when I turned 18, that's when it just got worse and worse and worse. And I remember just feeling less of myself and giving in more and more to peer pressure. And I didn't understand that every single time I slept with someone, I was allowing their spirits in me, and I was also losing a piece of myself. I didn't know that was also why people didn't respect me, because every single guy I ever allowed in my life always treated me like crap. I can't think of one guy that ever was nice to me at all. But in a romantic way, I have never had a guy actually treat me with respect. And so one day I went to a friend of mine's house, and him and I were like friends with benefits. And I remember I found out that he had a girlfriend and he never slept with her. And he was thinking about really making it serious with her. And I was confused because I was just like, but you never slept with her. So why, like, what do you mean? And they were going on a vacation, and he even said, we're going to go on this vacation together, and I still plan not to sleep with her. And he said to me, that if she tries to sleep with him or she allows him to sleep with him, he's going to know that it should not go further. And if she does not, and she does preserve herself, then he knows that it should go further. And I was so confused because I was just like, what do you mean? Like, you slept with me? And he was like, well, yeah, because, that's why nobody respects you, because you just give it up. You don't care about yourself. So why would anybody else care about you? And he went on and on and on. I can't even remember the entire conversation, but I remember just sitting there feeling so hurt, because when he said it to me, he wasn't just saying it to me. Like, he wasn't saying it quietly either. He had roommates, number one, and number two, he was playing a video game and he had his friends on the other end, and they heard everything and they started laughing at me. And he literally just sat there. He didn't even apologize. He didn't care. He just said what he said and continued playing his games, because he had no respect for me at all, because I didn't respect myself. So when he said that to me, I was like, it hit me a little bit. Like, it made me think to myself, well, maybe I should just, not give it up so easy, so that way I can be respected. But I still didn't understand why. It was just like 2 + 2 = 4. Like, every little kid knows that, but they don't understand why 2 + 2 is 4. So at that point, I was just like, okay, so I should just still keep my body to myself, but I don't understand why. So it's okay for me to still be with people who in the past I've been with, but anybody who new comes in my life, I should just hold it off a bit. Okay. It changed my lifestyle a little bit, but not enough, because then I met my daughter's earthly father, and he also did not respect me. I remember him telling me over and over and over that him and I were not in a relationship, and that he could be with anybody he ever wanted. Like, he could be with somebody else if he wanted to. And him and I were almost practically living together. He was at my house like every single day, and he was constantly saying to me that we were not together because he had no respect for me at all. And then when I got pregnant, I begged. Sorry, this is starting to get emotional. I didn't think I would cry, but I begged to not have a girl. I really did not want to have a girl, because I knew I was messed up, and I knew that. And see, I knew the truth. I didn't want to do anything about it. And that's what a reprobate mind is. And I've talked about that before, how I was given over to a reprobate mind. And I knew that if I had a girl and I did not get right with God, she would go through everything I did. And I knew that. I just knew that there was some sort of curse in my family, that the women and their mothers didn't get along, and I convinced myself that was why I needed to get right with God. But the truth is, I didn't want my daughter to I didn't want her to lose herself in peer pressure and sex. And I knew that the only way to protect her was to fully come back to God. And I was adamant for my daughter's sake. I was adamant. I said, I'm not gonna do any more clubbing or sex outside of marriage and things like that. And I said that in the beginning in my first trimester, but then my second trimester was terrible. I remember I cried so hard throughout my first and second trimester because of everything that her earthly father had put me through and was still putting me through, and I was just so hurt and distracted. So I went back to clubbing. I went back to sexual things and fornication, and I was pregnant. I wasn't drinking or anything. I stopped doing that as soon as I found out I was pregnant, but I was still going to clubs with people. And for some reason, even though I was sinful as heck, God still used me. I still found myself ministering to people. And I remember seeing their lives change right in front of me. And I got angry because I was like, God, I don't understand. Why have I not changed? I said I'm going to get right with you. Why am I still struggling? And that's when I realized I needed to get right with him for myself. Now, I've gone into more detail about that in my testimony, so I'm not going to talk about that too much, because the point of this is knowing your body. And when I finally decided to get right with God for myself, that's when it started to hit me, the peer pressure and mainly my body. I started to understand why my body was important. I knew that I should treat it like it's important, but I didn't know why. And as soon as I came to Christ full-heartedly for myself, if somebody asked me, why were you saved? I can truly say I got saved for myself. Not because I had a daughter, not because I grew up with a mother who took me to church, not because my mom's an online pastor anymore. I don't have any other outside reasons. It's because I got right with God for me. This is my own testimony for me. And God started opening my mind more to understanding that every time you sleep with someone, whatever demons they're going through, you are allowing that back into your life. And you are also losing pieces of yourself. Others don't respect you because you don't respect yourself. And God, I always thought God didn't want us to have sex outside of marriage because he didn't want us having babies outside of marriage. So, I would use protection and I would do the plan B. So I was like, okay, it's not that big of a deal because God just doesn't want me having babies outside of marriage. But see, God made us in his own image. Our bodies are a reflection of his, which is why we should respect our bodies. If we respect God, we should respect ourselves. That's why we shouldn't be marking up ourselves or wearing crop tops and booty shorts and showing ourselves off, because our bodies are sacred. And I thought about this to myself, and I've been thinking a lot about how to teach my daughter the respect of her body. And I thought about it this way. So if you have any kids out there, this is a perfect example. But think about a cake. And think about someone you love very much. And in this case, it's going to be whoever you decide to marry. So if you're talking to a son, you tell him about their future wife. If you're talking to your daughter, you tell him about their future husband. So you have this cake. And this cake is beautiful. It's got candles. It's ready to be lit. It's got the perfect icing. And ever since it's come and it's been fixed up, no one has touched it. It's just been preserved and ready to be eaten by only that special person. Now let's say you keep giving that cake to other people. It doesn't matter if you think they're going to take care of the cake. The fact that this cake has been touched now by other people, have been smelt by other people. Somebody rubbed their dirty fingers in it and licked the icing. Somebody else you give it to, you think they care, but they actually don't. So they even took a bite. By the time it gets to your future spouse, it's not even a cake anymore. Somebody even took the platter that the cake was on. You can't give them anything. It's gone. Because you kept giving it away over and over and over, allowing people to mess it up. Same thing with a flower. Here's a flower that's beautiful and gorgeous, and it's still in a garden, but you're allowing people to come and look at it. So people are they're stepping too close, they're stepping on the roots. Some people accidentally bump into it. They're constantly smelling it and getting their snot all in it. And by the time that special person comes to look at this flower, to look at your body, it's been bruised. It doesn't even smell nice anymore. And the petals are whittled. So that is why we need to take care of what we claim to respect. That is why we need to keep it to ourselves, because you don't want other people messing it up. And most importantly, our bodies are a reflection of God. God is pure. God is beautiful. And He is love. So obviously we should keep our bodies pure, beautiful, and loved. Now I understand that there are people out there who are just like me. You've probably done some terrible things, terrible fornication, terrible sins, terrible things like that. But that's why we need Jesus. Jesus will take that cake that's been eaten. He's not going to take the pieces out of people's stomachs. He's going to make a brand new cake that's never been touched. He's going to plant a brand new flower that's never been messed up. And He's going to make you new. And you have a second chance. See, some of us, we probably on our third chance. We're probably on our fourth chance. But God's love is merciful. He endureth forever. So you trust God to make you new and to fix you up. But anyways, I really hope you guys understand the importance of teaching your children why. I understand we grew up and we heard the term "because I said so," or don't question me and things like that. And I understand that we're the parents, not the friends. So obviously, when we tell them to do something, they need to do it, no questions asked. But something this important, something that that they're going to grow up and be adults. And you're not going to be there to say, "because I said so." This is too important to say, well, you're too young to understand. You're too young to know. As parents, it's not our job to try and determine whether or not they're old enough or not. It's not our job to determine whether or not they understand or not. It's our job to just teach and to protect. You're not protecting your child by not teaching them things that they need to know. I had a vision before, and I posted this vision, and I was shown that if I was not teaching my child things of God, the world is teaching my child of Satan. Okay? So it's important that we teach our children why. Get off your pedestal. I understand you're a parent, but things like this, they're too crucial. And it's really important now that we're teaching our children, because nowadays you've got kids going off to preschool, kindergarten, they're coming back home asking about babies being made. Coming back talking about the LGBTQ and the different sexual acts they read in these books. Do not allow the world to teach your children about their bodies. Because the world will tell them how to not have babies, but they're not teaching them how to not have sex. They're saying, well, you have safe sex. I remember going to sex ed class, and I remember them showing me the banana and the condom and putting them together. That's not telling me that I shouldn't have sex. That's just telling me how to not have a baby. And that alone should tell you that it is a satanic agenda, because before sin even entered into the world, God said to multiply. So obviously the world does not care if your child is having sex outside of marriage. They care about your child not having children, because Satan does not want them to multiply. Okay. So please do not allow the world to just teach your children. Don't be like, oh, well, they're going off to school and I'm going to just, I trust in them. No. You need to teach your children these things. Help them understand. And another thing I wanted to point out, I was talking to my sister about this. Growing up, I did not know that there were atheists. I didn't understand that there were certain people that as soon as they found out I was a Christian, they would try and attack my Christianity. So that's another thing to teach our children about, is that there are people in this world who are going to throw every satanic thing in their face. And this is how you fight it. This is why we believe in what we believe in. Don't just tell your children, oh, this is what I believe in, so you're going to believe in it. No, this is why I believe in it. And this is why I think you should. Like I said, a lot of us parents, we don't like to explain things. Me, even as a big sister, I hate it when my sister asks me questions. Just because I don't like explaining. I don't like going through it. But this is their life. Take a few seconds and explain to your children things that they really need to know. Okay? So God bless you all. Hope you're having a good night.
Of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit.